Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at the SooSoo Toys White Wolf, aka Geralt of Rivia, based off his appearance in Season 2 of the Netflix Witcher series. Now, I got mine as a review sample direct from SooSoo Toys. I've popped a link to TNS figures in the description below for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video, it's a review. All opinions, as always, are 100% my own. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new SooSoo Toys figure review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, the blue tint to it absolutely fits the Witcher vibe. Up front, we've got an image of Henry Cavill in his Season 2 Geralt costume, a SooSoo Toys logo up top, then down below, White Wolf. One of their better third-party names in my opinion. I would have liked to have seen the actual Witcher font used for this, because fonts, they make a big difference to how a logo looks, but I'm not complaining. Overall, I still love this artwork. I especially like how it wraps all the way around. It's not only on the sides of the box, but it's top and bottom as well. That piece of artwork just continues absolutely everywhere. See what I mean? Even on the back of the box, the artwork continues. Then we've just got all of the boring stuff, warnings and legal information printed on top of it. What's with these companies and using their best art inside the box? This should have been the main cover shot all day long. A sepia tone up-close shot of Geralt drawing his sword. Yeah, it would also make for a sick-looking poster. Underneath the slipcover, some instructions. They don't usually give us instructions, but seeing as though Geralt is going to require some assembly, he's got the mini potions and whatnot, I'm glad that they decided to give us an instruction sheet. First in-hand impressions for Season 2 Witcher. So far, so good. This body's got a great amount of heft to it. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. It's done in the usual SooSoo Toy style, meaning hexagonal, a little bit chonkier than like a normal Hot Toys hexagon base, so he is going to get a height boost from it, but nothing crazy, it's not overly tall. Then up top, the 4 metal grate flooring look quadrants done in gunmetal with some airbrush shading in the mix, and a Witcher wolf symbol in the middle. The wolf head is done in metallic silver on a matte black background, but if you look closely, there's this really fine blood splatter effect all over the entire top surface of the base. Then we've got weathering all the way around and on the matte black sections on top as well. For the crotch grabber, it is height adjustable. If you're looking for his cloak in the box, it's taped to the underside of the clam tray. It's in a Ziploc bag. We'll try this on him a little bit later. The same thing for the head sculpts. We'll try them both out. For now, all you really need to know is we get 2 of them. They're the same underlying sculpt, they're just painted slightly differently. Out of his 3 weapons, the knife or dagger is the only one that's made out of plastic. Just be really careful with this. It's super thin towards the tip, and as you're wedging this into his sheath on his boot guard, it flexes, and that makes me very nervous. That connection point up the top is quite thin too. We've got some sculpted ribbing detail for the handle, and a heavy metal flake to the silver paint applications. It doesn't quite make it look like it's made out of metal, but it's shiny enough, and I think they get away with it. These things are absolutely tiny. We've got 4 translucent plastic mini potion vials. These do have a spot where you can store them on his outfit, just like the dagger. There's a specific order in which you're supposed to install them. The instructions call it out, so make sure you're reading them. They've got different colored paint on the inside of each of them. We've got blue, this is the green one, orange, and a brownish purple. Then up top, matte black paint for the stoppers. His sword-carrying bag, which you can pop both swords into, there's plenty of room inside of it, is all sculpted PVC plastic. And the sculpt work is crazy. The super fine leather grain texture on the straps, then the bulkier, heavy grain effect for the main sections, the stitching detail, the buckles. This thing not being made out of pleather was 100% the right call because it is going to last forever. This thing is never going to degrade or flake on you. Out of his two swords, I've always had a favorite. It's not this one. I mean, it looks good. It's made of die cast, it's nice and heavy, but I just prefer the look of the other sword. Instead of going with that straight chrome-looking die cast, it's got a matteness to it, and that makes it look more believable. I highly doubt The Witcher was walking around with chrome swords in the show. I need to go back and watch it, it's been a while. There's even a black wash in the sculpted detail for the crossguard. So, yeah. This is my favourite of the two swords. There's just so much more to look at here. We've got the sculpted detail in the groove section down the middle on both sides, a black wash in the crossguard, and this gold piece. Unlike what we got with 3.0, where they just painted the gems, and with the Buzz Toys one, where they left the gems completely unpainted, these are actual individual pieces of plastic that have been inset into the sculpt work. So that's, if you want to call it a gem, you could. That's a separate plastic gem. How did they insert those tiny little bits and pieces? It would have been so fiddly at the factory, but the instructions do mention that they were hand installed one by one, so just be careful with them. Don't pick at them because they may fall off if you're a bit rough. The detail on the handle alone looks significantly better than the official version of this sword that we got from 3.0. And you can use both swords with the sheath. This attaches with 2 magnets on his back. Not overkill, both magnets are needed because the swords are pretty heavy. I'm going to have him holding this sword, and I'm probably going to use the other one with the sheath so the ivory-coloured handle is sticking up over his shoulder. Whoever it was at the factory that figured out how to capture this much really sharp detail, like look at that wrinkle right there in between his knuckles. The stitching, the leather grain texture. You need a raise, my friend, because this is some of the finest sculpt work I've ever seen from SooSoo. Lastly, we get a full array of hands, ranging from 2 closed fists, to his spell-casting hands, one for either side, gripping hands, and I'm pleased to report his fingers are soft enough so that you can pry them open, wedge the handles for the swords in there without having to grab yourself a hairdryer. Oh, and right out of the box, 2 relaxed open palm hands already installed on the body. What we're going to do now is get Geralt himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Well, it's not entirely true. I've popped his sword in its sheath on his back, and his mini potions in the spots they sit in on his leg thigh holster thing. You're straight up cooked with this. It's probably the best work I've seen from SooSoo Toys in years, and that's saying something because they used to be my favorite third-party company. Like, their quality is unquestionably good. This is taking everything that they're experts at to the next level. So much detail on the outfit, and it's made of durable materials. We'll discuss that in more detail. The body is custom, specifically made for Witcher. They've not gone and grabbed a World Box body, which would have been something they'd have done back in the day, but not anymore. And the head sculpts. They've been controversial, to say the least. Companies have struggled to capture Henry Cavill's likeness at the best of times, without long white hair and orange eyes. SooSoo Toys, they've done a commendable job with these sculpts. They were up against it, and in both of them, I can see Henry Cavill. But likeness is subjective, so if you can't, and you prefer a head sculpt from a different company, I get it. But as a whole, looking at this piece rotating in front of me right here and now, the proportions are so good. The outfit is killer, and that head sculpt looks like Henry Cavill to me. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Geralt's first head sculpt. We'll try out the black eye version with the vein work in just a second. So what do I think? Is this perfect? Is this the best Witcher sculpt ever to exist in 1/6 scale including customs? No, I don't think so. But that doesn't mean I don't like it, because I absolutely do. It's chock full of detail. And I can see the likeness to Henry Cavill from almost every angle. Almost every angle. There's sculpted and painted skin texture, some shading in the forehead wrinkles. We've even got some 5 o'clock shadow down below. It's a single piece neck and sculpt combo, so the skin tone match between the neck and the head is spot on. And then we get to the hair. It's PVC, but there's individual strands coming off the main sculpt work, even for the ponytail around the back. And we've got a wash in that sculpt work. So, yeah, I'm happy with how this sculpt turned out. The only thing that I reckon could have made this sculpt even better is moving eyes. I'm hoping that someday soon, SooSoo Toys starts experimenting with moving eyes, because if any third-party company could pull it off, it's them. Dude, the potion sculpt? I like this even more than the other head sculpt. I don't know why, but the likeness is coming through a hell of a lot stronger with this sculpt. Maybe it was the stock eye position looking a bit too straightforward for me, not up as much as I was expecting to make use of the furrowed brow. But the black eyes completely eliminate that issue entirely. And now we've got even more detail to look at with the vein work and the red shading below the eyes. So I've found my permanent sculpt. In the collection, he's always going to be displayed wearing this. Back to the stock one. So see what I mean about the eye position, the way it is, looking literally just straight forward, not even up a touch? I prefer to have some white underneath his pupil and iris, just to make it look like he doesn't have that dead-eyed stare thing going on. It's not a deal breaker, at least not for me, something to be aware of perhaps. Now let's do some comparisons. This is the Buzz Toys Witcher sculpt. I still like it, but I prefer the SooSoo Toys one. The hair coming around the front, framing the face, that helps sell the likeness. And the skin tone isn't as red as the Buzz Toys one is. If you prefer the one on the right, I'm happy for you. Like, seriously, I am. Stick with this sculpt. But I'm going with the SooSoo one as my main Witcher in the collection front and center. The Buzz Toy sculpt is going to be retired because I've already popped a custom head sculpt on my Buzz Toys Witcher anyway. Unfortunately, there's no way of using this sculpt on the SooSoo Toys body, at least not right out of the box, because this is a separate neck and head sculpt situation, whereas the SooSoo Toys one is a single piece sculpt. The same thing can be said for the 3-0 head sculpt. The skin tone is a lot lighter with 3-0s, but the hair is a lot darker. This one, I prefer over Buzz Toys. That one comes in third place. Second goes to 3-0. Then my new favorite is what SooSoo Toys gave us. Oh, I can already see the comments. No, Justin, the SooSoo Toys one is terrible. It doesn't look anything like Henry Cavill. That angle right there, you cannot tell me that's not Henry. Anyway, moving on to the sculpt work around the back. The hair has a decent amount of flow to it. It sits over the top of the armor nicely. It looks like it's hanging there naturally. The sheath or scabbard for his sword uses 2 magnets instead of 1, so it's a lot more secure than a Hot Toys Boba Fett jetpack, for example. Those things slide around like crazy. It also helps that the back armor is heavily textured, so the magnets, once they grip on, they're locked in place thanks to that texture. We've got some straps and buckles sculpted in for these shoulder pads, but we'll discuss how all of this stuff works when we're back around the front. You can use either of the swords in the sheath, like we discussed in the accessory segment. I'm pleased to report that this belt is not pleather. There is no pleather on this entire piece. He's durable, he feels sturdy, and he's going to stand the test of time. Thank you, SooSoo Toys. No pleather, when you can go with sculpted plastic for gauntlets and belts and straps and harnesses and whatnot, just do it, because you've proved that it's possible. This belt is a thinner plastic, it's like a vinyl style material, but it is not pleather. I just want to reiterate that, no pleather on this piece. The shoulder pads are removable, they're held in place with magnets. The instructions want you to remove the shoulder pads when you install the cloak. You don't have to, but if you leave these on when the cloak is installed, then he is going to look extremely bulky. Underneath the sculpted PVC armor, he's got a finely detailed undershirt. I thought this was just black in the show, and I can't be the only one who thought that. We've got some screen printing poking out underneath his gauntlets for the ends of the sleeves, some more screen printing up top for the collar, and like I said, a finely detailed pattern on the fabric shirt that has been stitched in, not screen printed. The chest armor is a solid sculpted piece, all of the rivets have been painted, and individually weathered. Some are more rusty than others. Then for the belt buckle, the main part is plastic, but the pin, that's die cast. The necklace was already installed right out of the box. I didn't have to do anything, it was already on him. Real metal chain, but plastic for the wolf head. You see that around the back? It looks like black paint, yeah? But it isn't. It's a hollow sculpt. How did they sculpt something so small with that gap around the edge? There's some detail on the back of it with a blackwash in there. The design for the shoulder pads is asymmetrical. We've got this monster claw slash on the right side, but it's not present on the left. The gauntlets, they're free floating. You can adjust them, move them around, pose depending. There's so much to look at on this outfit. That gash right there, it looks like the material is splitting apart, but once again, it's sculpted. The wrinkling, the cinching, the buckling around the rivets, so it comes across as though they've been pressed into leather. SooSoo Toys, you all have leveled up. This has to be some of your best sculpt work ever, and I know I already said that in the accessory segment. His pants are a lint magnet. Make sure you've got a lint roller handy, maybe the one I sell as part of my figure first aid kit. It is washable and reusable. Sorry for the shameless plug right there. It should be popping up on screen right about now. The fly is held in place with a press stud, then we've got some faux studs on the outside. Some stitched in knee pad sections, and this suspiciously pleather looking detail on the outside of his thighs. Not pleather. This is a waxed print on the surface, almost like screen printing. Then coming down to his boots, sculpted plastic, and a split cut boot design. Crazy texture, including these diamond patterns. The buckles, this one looks particularly rusty, some wrinkling, more leather grain texture on his boots, weathering down there with some brown speckling, and some sculpted tread on the underside that's been fully painted with a dry brush over the top. Now this is what I was talking about with the holster for his knife earlier in the accessory segment. See how it flares out the way it does? That puts a little bit of pressure on the blade. I don't think it's going to snap. Just be gentle, and you should be perfectly fine. There's two more things I want to try out. The first of which is his bag, and we'll pop both swords in there. Then we'll move on to his cloak. It's a big bag. This thing is massive. It sticks out top and bottom, but the benefit of using the bag is we've got this strap that's quite well detailed with the lighter brown dry brush on it, right around the front, which pins the necklace in place, or you can use some blue tack to do that without it. And now you can have both sword hilts on display. If they're not sitting on the edge like this, they are going to fall into the bag. You won't really see them from the top. So I like to have them, like I said, sitting on the ledge. That way they're fully visible all the time. He's not meant to be displayed like this. I thought we'd stop halfway. I'm going to install the cloak, I promise. But seeing as though this is a bulky custom body specifically made for The Witcher by SooSoo, it's not one of those scrawny bodies that requires the shoulder pads to bulk it out. This still looks relatively big and bulky and displayable, even without the shoulder pads on. Yes, the neck looks maybe a bit long like this, but this is an option. It's there if you want it. Same thing with this, it's there if you want it. I don't. You're covering up so much detail on the outfit with what is essentially a really nice high quality black sheet in 1/6 scale. There's some stitched in panels, weathering down the bottom. It's made of this heavily textured microfiber style material. There's a real metal clasp around the front, and the hood and shoulder bits, they're always going to look exactly like this because everything is stitched in place. Wires in the hood would have been a nice touch so you could shape it, but you don't really need them. You can also bring the hood down if you so choose. Not my preferred display option, but I am glad they included it. For a quick side-by-side comparison, some folks really don't like the Season 2 outfit, and I've never understood why. I've always adored the sculpted gladiator-style armor look he's got going on. It's that perfect blend of what we got from Season 1 with the rivets, but also infusing a little bit of superhero into the mix. Not what The Witcher is about, he's not a superhero, but nevertheless, it just works for me. On the left, we've got SooSoo Toys Witcher, and on the right, the Witcher from Buzz Toys. Both are incredible. But would you believe me if I told you that the Buzz Toys one has had his longer ankle pegs removed, and I've installed some shorter ones? Because that's what's happened, and he's still taller than SooSoo Toys Witcher. The Buzz Toys Geralt is an absolute beast. If I had to pick right here and now between them, SooSoo Toys Geralt has the Season 2 look, which I prefer. I also dig his head sculpt. I like his accessories more, and he's got better articulation. So long story short, for me, SooSoo Toys wins here. Look what they did to our boy. We went from peak Witcher costuming on the left to Season 3 on the right. It's like I'm going fishing Witcher. He's wearing a vest, a regular black shirt, way less armor, some hints of the riveting. It's not 3-0's fault. This is what Geralt looked like in Season 3, and I am so not here for it. Out of these two, I still dig the 3-0 sculpt, but there's no denying that the figure on the left by SooSoo Toys has way more presence. Et voila, the shot that I've been waiting to put together. I'm a fan of having all of the iterations of a character's costume in 1/6 scale in my collection. Some would consider that overkill. Not me. I like to represent the evolution of my favorite characters. So we've got Season 1 by Buzz Toys, Season 2 by SooSoo, and Season 3 by 3-0. 3 by 3-0, I see what they've done there. The 3-0 figure is the shortest of the bunch, then we've got SooSoo and Buzz Toys being the tallest. I think they look great, standing side by side. Yes, they each have their pros and cons, their strengths and weaknesses, but as a set, I'm happy I picked them all up. Going over articulation, starting off with his head sculpt. It's a single-piece head and neck combo sculpt with a ball joint at the bottom. Looking forward to there, looking up to there, both directions. That's more range than I was expecting, given the sculpted hair. Then we've got swivel and pivot side to side. The shoulder pads are flexible enough so that you can move them out of the way for maximum range of motion. In fact, the instructions suggest you do exactly that. His arms will go up to there. They'll go forward and back, unhindered by the fabric outfit. There's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. And even though his biceps are big and he's wearing this torso armor, his arms almost sit completely flush down by his sides. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going just past 90 as the gauntlet collides with his bicep. Then we've got a hinge and swivel for the wrist peg. His torso, as you would expect, is going to be restricted by the sculpted plastic chest armor. Crunching forward a little, going back to there, swivel, and some pivot side to side. So there's an asymmetrical design going on for the legs. We've got this rubber strap connected to the belt for the left side, whereas on the right, it's just the fabric pants. So that means the left leg is going to be more restricted than the right one is. Going forward to there, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee, going past 90. Then a split cut boot design and a double ball peg for the ankles. Good for forward and back, swivel, as well as ankle tilt. Wrapping up on SooSoo Toys' White Wolf, aka Geralt of Rivia, played by Henry Cavill in Season 2 of the Netflix Witcher series. This is unequivocally my new favourite 1/6 scale Geralt. Is he perfect? He might very well be. The outfit is made of durable materials, it's flexible enough to allow for better articulation than both the Buzz Toys and 3-0 Witches. He comes with more stuff. The detail on his accessories is quite frankly crazy. And the head sculpts, both of them, I reckon are some of the strongest Witcher sculpts we've received in mass-produced quantities from third-party or official companies. Are they perfect though? Nah, they're not perfect. I've seen customs that are, but out of the box, I doubt that you are going to be disappointed with this, because I sure as shit am not disappointed. I already told you, this is my new favourite 1/6 scale Witcher. I'm a stickler for likeness, I'm a stickler for accuracy, and what they've done here is delivered the goods. The proportions alone make this worth getting. He is big and he's beefy. The way he fills out that outfit, and because they went with the more superhero-esque look of his various outfits throughout the seasons, this guy is going to stand out for all of the best reasons, and no, I did not mean for that to rhyme. If you're on the fence about SooSoo Toys Witcher because you've seen people bashing the sculpt, give it a go. Pick this up, see if you like it. If not, then you can investigate a custom sculpt. But out of the three, 3-0, Buzz Toys, and SooSoo, this one I'm declaring as the winner in my collection. Now, I got mine as a review sample from SooSoo Toys. I know I've gushed, but I promise you, this is not a promotional video. All opinions have been 100% my own. They just genuinely made an outstanding 1/6 scale Geralt. I've popped a link to TNS Figures, the official distributor for SooSoo Toys, in the description below, for your reference purposes only. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.